Do you look at your finances and wish there was some way you could find more money to invest? I talk to a lot of investors every week, and several of them, almost without hesitation, they're like, I wish I had more money to invest. I wish I had put more back. Most people don't realize, this sounds weird, the system is rigged against you. And that's not me just spewing some political speech. It really is rigged against you, and I'm going to show you that. I just talked to ChatGPT, and it told me what the typical American debt is, and I swear I think this is low. But it says if you're a typical American, you have a $250,000 mortgage debt right now. You have two cars that are 25,000 in debt each, and on top of that, you've got 7,500 in credit card debt. So, what I want to talk to you about is finding the money to be able to start investing. Okay, and there's a lot of places you could start, but for me, you've got to get started compounding money early. The earlier you can start compounding money, the better. Okay, and if you know me, I've got a certain way of doing things, but there's a lot of good places to put money. And it's hard. I've shot videos that say this is the best place. And I do think there is a best place, but everybody starts from a different place. Now, when we look at this, there's an opportunity here that some of you don't see. And I'm going to say that more than likely, and hopefully not everybody, but more than likely, I'm going to look at this mortgage debt. I'm going to zero in on that because that's one place here where I would say that's a good debt. If you own a house and you have a payment, that's good debt. The rest of this I would not necessarily call good debt. But I'm going to show you how you can flip all debt into something good, okay? And it sounds crazy. And then here's the question. What if your debt was the ticket to finding more investment capital, okay? What if your debt? And then I'm going to show you what if your taxes, what if the money you're paying in taxes was that same ticket as well? But let's look at this. Let's key in on the mortgage because more than likely if you owe $250,000 on a house, in the climate we're in right now, where we're at in 2025, more than likely your house is worth more than that. You've had to do something, you had to put money down or whatever, and probably there's some appreciation. I'm going to go out on a limb and say your house is worth 350. Now that may be wrong, but what I'm getting at here is there is some equity available. Now you're going to say, Kent, you're going to tell me to invest my equity into some syndication and then it's going to go bust and lose my equity. No, that's not at all what I'm telling you to do. That's not at all what I'm telling you to do. But I am telling you, you need a $50,000 line of credit. We're going to call it a HELOC, and just about everybody knows it. Now, banks love to give you that money. They want to give you that money because you know what? They think you're going to go consume it. You're going to go fix your kitchen. You're going to finish your basement. You're going to maybe do some home repairs with that HELOC. They want to loan you that money, but you're not going to do that with that money. I'm going to show you what you're going to do with this money that's going to start making a difference, okay? The first thing I'm going to tell you to do is once you have that $50,000 HELOC in hand, you've got to make sure some of it goes into a place that starts compounding immediately and never ever stops. Now, I don't know what age you are when you're seeing this. If you're 30, 35, 40, even if you're 45 and these numbers are true for you, you've got to start. Okay, now I know you've probably got a 401k or something over here, but I'm trying to get you to build a liquid account where you can invest from and use, and you're going to use that account to also pay off debt. What if they let you pay your car payment? What if they let you invest and take out your car payment and pay that back, and that was part of your 401k? Wouldn't that be cool? What if you could turn your debt into your income? Not only your income, but your investments. Because this $25,000 car payment, I would imagine that is $500 a month on each of those, wouldn't you think? Give or take. $500 a month going right there. So, but back to the HELOC. First of all, HELOC interest is calculated differently. I don't have time to go into that in this, but it is, okay? Simple interest, amortized interest. Really, they're not different, but when I show you what you're going to do, you're going to hopefully I'm trying to open your eyes in the next 5 minutes to how this really works. First thing I want you to do is take $25,000, yes, and you're going to put it into a specially structured whole life insurance policy. Okay. Don't go out right now and go to your insurance agent at State Farm or Farm Bureau or whoever and do this. Do not do that. You have to study this first, but I'm going to show you how this works. You're going to put $25K in there, okay? The other $25K, I want you to go ahead and pay off one of the cars, okay? You're going to pay off one of the cars, and now you have another $500 a month coming in. All right, we're going to pay off that. So now our HELOC balance is $50K. This is where it gets crazy. You got to get rid of your checking account. You got to get rid of your checking account because now you owe $50,000 right here. And every month, I would say if this is your life, I hope you're making at least $10,000 a month of income. And what you're going to do is when that income comes in, you park it against this $50K balance and it becomes $40K for about 30 days. The interest on this is not nearly as much as you think it is. I would say the interest on that, well, I should have done the calculation before the video, but it is not that much. It's probably less than this car payment each month. But it doesn't matter because you don't have to make a payment on this anymore because you're parking your whole income right there. And for 30 days, the interest calculated is on $40,000, okay? And you're going to do that every month. I promise you, if you start doing this, when you turn around and look, the balance of this is going to be $47K. You do it one more month, the balance is going to be $44K. You do it again, the balance is going to be $40K. And you're going to be like, what the crap is going on? How am I paying off this so fast? Not to mention, now that you've got this whole life insurance over here, guess what? You get to take at least 60% of that. Different insurance agents will tell you different things, but you're going to take at least 60% of that. We're going to say you can take $15,000 that you can come over here and do something with, okay? We're going to take out that thing because you were having to pay $200 a month on that, okay? And I know this isn't very detailed. A lot of people do better videos than me. I'm new to this, but I've been doing these in my life for a long time, but I'm new at teaching them to other people, so bear with me. But you can kind of see this right here is the key. This is compounding forever. The earlier you get this in here, the better. If you can get this in here at age 35, and we're going to show you how that keeps working, each year for 4 years, you're going to put $25K in here. And you're thinking, dear God, how am I going to do that? Don't worry, okay? It works out. And you're probably thinking, that's almost a quarter of my income. Where am I going to come up with that? As we get rid of debt over here, and we shift the debt over here that you owe it to yourself, and you can skip a payment if you need to, and all kinds of things like that, you're going to start systematically moving debt over here because you're creating a lake of money, a pond full of money that's becoming yours, and the liquidity starts adding up. Now you can see how in 4 to 5 years this can start to change your financial life. And we've not even talked about taxes and how you're going to recapture those yet. But I promise you, this right here is called velocity banking. Some people say it's a scam. Some people say it's not true. Some people just, I promise you, it's the ticket to you getting out from under the banks and getting out from under your mountain of debt, finding some money that someday you can have liquid access to money to be able to take advantage of opportunities. You see 401ks over here that you've been putting, maybe you're doing pretty good and you're putting 10K a year in. That 10K is gone. It's locked up. It can't be used to do things you need to do. And you've got to get out of this debt, this bad debt, in order to start building good debt to yourself. You're going to become a banker in your life and owe this to yourself. You're going to make interest payments to yourself. People are going to say, why would I do that? Why would you shop at, if you had a grocery store, would you not shop at your own grocery store? You wouldn't go to Kroger or these other places and shop. You're going to shop at your own grocery store and get your money there. Now, guess what happens after you pay these things off to yourself and you have this money in here? Let's say that you've got 50,000 of available. What's the next thing we attack? Bang, we go attack this mortgage, and we might throw 50,000 on this mortgage, and it knocks the balance down to 200. Now the payment's the same, but let me tell you how much interest you're going to save. And then you're going to start making payments through this whole system back and paying that back. You also have this HELOC. So once you get rid of the cars and you can go over here and throw another 50 thing, you can pay this off in, I promise you, in the next 5 to 7 years, if you would open your eyes and clearly look at this. The information's all over the internet about velocity banking and infinite banking. Unfortunately, if you Google some of these things, it'll probably take you to a Dave Ramsey comment about infinite banking. He hates it. He can't see it. And the only thing I know is that sometimes the smarter you think you are, the more these things remain hidden. And there's some biblical reference in that, but the smarter things are, sometimes it's hidden for the simple to see it. And I promise you, if you will focus in on these two things, I would love to be the person that introduced you to these two things, because they've changed my life and they've changed the way finances work. Most people, finances are the biggest problem in their life, the biggest cause of stress, marriage stress, divorce. It's finances. And what's really cool is this is fun. Once you learn these techniques, once you learn how to velocity bank, and once you learn how to infinitely bank, velocity banking is using debt to your advantage. Like I tell you, they'll give you this HELOC. Just don't go buy a boat with it. You've got to use it to pay off good debt. You need to look into how HELOC interest, simple interest versus compounding interest. This mortgage, when it was created, they predetermined 30 years, and hopefully this is more good advice. When you do refinance, and if you do refinance, and if you do mortgages, do a 30-year, because you're going to implement this and you're going to pay it off in 7 anyway. But you do want that payment as low as possible. Okay? Now, honestly, interest only. HELOCs are interest only, and you get to decide how much principal you pay. That's why this is such a great tool. That's why the wealthy use HELOCs, lines of credit, business lines of credit. They use whole life. This stuff has got to come back. It was here before the 401k. It was wildly popular. It was the only really great way to save money before the 401k, which came around in like 1979. So these are two tools you absolutely must learn to use. This is a short video. I don't have time to teach you these. There's so many places to go on the internet. I'd love to be the one to teach it to you. I'm just telling you, they've impacted my life personally, and they've helped me to climb out of debt and flip that debt. It's okay to be in debt, as long as you're in debt to your own personal family bank. And then what if every month you paid off debt, your cash available buying power or borrowing power or investing power was getting larger? Imagine that every time you sent in that debt payment of $1,000, every time you sent that mortgage payment, it was actually giving you the capability to go out and start investing. Now, I'm a full-time investor. I run an investment fund, and most of the time the minimums in my fund are $50,000, $25,000. So if you want to start making really good institutional quality investments, you do have to get to a place where you can make these larger investments. 401k, keep doing it. As long as they're matching, you keep doing it. But I don't think I'd put anything extra in here, because it ties it up till you're 59 and a half. And it's just deferring taxes. This is just a tax deferral system. It's not a way to build wealth. Over here is where you're going to build wealth, okay? And you're going to start to see how the wealthy use these tools to build wealth. So no matter where you are in life, 30, 35 years old, and you implement this, 50, 55, 60 years old, this is how you can get there quicker. You've got to get that debt flipped and on the good side of your ledger, so that you can start investing. You've got to start investing. You've got to start building your own pool of capital so that when really awesome opportunities come along, you're going to be able to take advantage of them. You know, if you have a $500,000 in a 401k and a great opportunity comes along, it's hard to get it out. It's possible, but if you tell them you want to start a business with your 401k, I don't know. I don't even know the rules of that. They may let you borrow from it. They may not. But over here, you're building. All this money is compounding. The entire amount is compounding every year, and you're able to borrow against it. You don't borrow from it, you borrow against it. So you're never touching this principle. Compounding interest is one of the greatest wonders of the world. The problem is the human condition. The human condition interrupts the compounding and screws it up. And that's what Dave Ramsey doesn't tell you. He says buy term and go invest the difference. The problem is the human condition says we're not going to go invest the difference. We're going to buy term and go buy a boat. That's the human condition. We're going to buy term and something's going to break down and we got to go address that, and you didn't invest the difference. If you buy term and invest the difference, someday your term is going to run out. And he says that when you're 50 years old, my term's running out. I'm 50 years old. I've got term expiring all over the place. And if I don't feel like I want to be covered for the rest of my life, I don't want my term expiring. Think about that. 99% or more of term never pays out. Okay? It doesn't matter how low your payment is every month. If it's going to run out before you die, it's not going to come into use, then you're never going to see it. This is the way I'm going to pass money to my heirs is through whole life, tax-free, death benefit, all that. I've went way longer than I meant to. Listen, if you love finance like I do, I love talking about this stuff. I don't mind jumping on the phone. I'm not so busy that I can't do that. If you'd love to talk about this, I can hook you up with resources to start learning about these things. But let me tell you, you live in the age where all this is available online. All this is available on YouTube for free. Somehow you found my video, thank you. If you made it this far, especially thank you. But reach out, comment below. I'd love to hear what you have to say about this. I'd love to talk to you about investing, about saving money, about getting out of debt. I just love it. Hope you have a great day.